and we'll have a look at these issues. And I have to race through this because I've only got a very short time, so forgive me if I'm racing. Okay, the first issue is that climate change is crap. That's often repeated ad nauseum by many people that I deal with in my daily work. That photograph of Lord Monckton appearing was at Noosa. Well, I was up there on holidays a couple of years ago. So he gets around the regions in Australia. I believe he's at Rooty Hill at the moment as we speak. What that means is that the general attitude is that green building is a waste of time and money, and even if we just looked at the energy efficiency regulations from Section J, there's a lot of hostility to that. Fairly typical response from my clients. I have to sort of deal with the climate change as crap sort of storm first, and then when they've got it out of their system, I say, well, you still have to comply and I can help you. So there's a lot of hostility towards just even basic energy efficiency, but there's actually a culture of trying to shoot as far below compliance requirements and still get away with it. And there's a lot of collusion with the ignorance in councils and private certifiers that allow that to happen. So, even on something that's in place like a regulation, we have major problems getting that across, let alone high-performance green buildings. The other issue is that buildings are of a smaller scale generally, and the green design costs are a relatively higher proportion, and that's a major disincentive for even those that are interested, because it can still be quite common that if you get a client that's really interested in green building principles, as soon as it starts getting into the costings, it all falls off the truck, as it were. Perceptions are most important. That's the next big issue, is that the general feeling is green is extra cost and it's not value. Whereas if that's one major cultural change that's happened in the CBDs, is that there's widely recognised value about green building, but that hasn't progressed elsewhere. And part of that, because of the relatively increased costs, there is some justification, so I won't bag out my local industries too much. So problems are technical, but they are also deeply cultural. The suburban and regional industry doesn't have the technical knowledge of the experienced ESD consultants and engineers and architects that are doing the lion's share of green building projects. I noticed that one of the speakers at the conference that doesn't seem to be up on the board anymore was responsible for overseeing 50 Green Star certified projects. That's one consultant doing 50, based in, currently based in Western Australia. When I saw that, I thought, yeah, there's probably the most of the work is done by maybe 20 consultants or less Australia-wide. So outside of that inner circle, there's no technical knowledge or understanding, and there's also no culture to support a green approach. And often the industry just doesn't want to know about these things. Andrew and I gave a talk at Architects Network a couple of years ago, and we actually did a survey of the 50 architects in the room. How many had heard of Neighbours? A few put their hands up. How many had heard of Green Star? A few put their hands up. How many have been involved in a project that had to be designed to Neighbours or Green Star? No one puts their hands up. So that was only, 2 years ago we did that little survey. And these are architects that mainly work in suburbs. So often they don't know or don't want to know.